Morning, everybody. 8:10 a.m. It is June 12th. Welcome to my channel. Give me 1 second, folks. Welcome. Sorry about that. Yesterday, Trump said no more strikes, and a peace deal could be imminent. End of the war. Even Iran is saying that this is true as well. Maybe this is actually real this time. Crude is down 3%. It's down to just below $85 a barrel. Glad I got out of the spread I was in. I only took a very small loss on that spread, like $30. Um, so that juiced the market yesterday. And yesterday, I got a little gift. So I was in a short yesterday. It was working. It was up over 20 points. And I was like, okay, should roll down and hit my target. And then all of a sudden, the market ripped. And I didn't know if there was news or not, but it ripped pretty violently up to the upside. And I was like, all right, break even. Boom. Hit me by maybe a point or two. And then went exactly to my target. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But I put in my pre-market in my Discord. I'll show you right here. I said right here at 11:30 a.m. right here, I wrote markets in balance, right? I said semis are leading, still favoring shorts. E has popped into demand and got bought. Could be a sneaky long at 72.80. Well, later on, you could see I went long at 72.84 to our reward. So break even here was sucked because it pretty much, while I was in this long, it hit my target from my short. Sucks. But then I'm in the trade. It was working. It was working. It wasn't like it wasn't working. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, 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 hits my target because Trump said there's no more strikes. So Trump helped me up finally. Now, in retrospect, when I heard the news, because I heard it, man, I could have probably moved my target up because it ripped after that. But I'm still happy. Having a pretty decent week here so far. So now that brings us to SpaceX this morning. The IPO. It's going to start at $135. Okay. Now, this market, is it going to go up from here? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that, right? We're getting, crude going lower is going to help out everything. CPI, whatever. However, crude really wasn't inversely correlated anymore. But this is obviously good news. Okay? Possibly see crude back to $60 a barrel maybe in a couple months if this actually happens. Okay? Today's Friday. We have Michigan consumer sentiment today at 10 a.m. That generally moves markets and sentiments at an all-time low. Okay, we're expecting it to go up today. Okay, who knows? All right, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and bond profile to find structure of the markets along supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, week, with previous day. That is my edge. That's where I come up with my game plans. Okay. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals to let me know who or what sector is getting money flows. Okay. That usually drives my decisions. Now, when it's super, super wild, sometimes I just got to lean on pure price action and structure. Okay. Yesterday, I was able to lean on the internals with that long. All right. Now, also use some anchor VWAPs, my weekly expected move indicator, my gamma flip points that I give away for free, just like my weekly expected move indicator for Thinkorswim, and some smart money concepts, ICT, but basically my own proprietary trading system. Okay. Now, every morning, I go live, and I hope you subscribe, set that alert, give me the market story, the market economic calendar, the market news, technical analysis, and I always give you the long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and ES futures later on in the stream. If you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Okay? I'm giving golden nuggets out every day when I'm live. Okay? Maybe you have a couple laughs in there too. All right, with the community. All right, let's go right to futures. Now, silver is leading the pack. Remember, I said yesterday the bullish percent index of materials, which includes metals, was getting oversold. Okay, so I might be looking at NEM maybe to get into some kind of play if we continue to have these talks. Okay, gold's up almost 3%. The Dow's up 0.60. Russell's up 0.53. ES up 0.48. Nasdaq up 0.38. 10-year yields up 0.11. Dollar is flat. Bitcoin is flat. 30-year bonds are being sold. Ethereum is down 0.74. VIX down 1.90. Crude is down 3% to $85 a barrel. Mag 7 Plus here. AMD up 1.88. Google up 1.74. Amazon up 1.14. Tesla's up 0.89. Okay. Berkshire Hathaway is the only laggard, barely down. Top sectors. Goldman Sachs up 1.39%. GE Vernova up 0.91. Palantir up 0.65. NEM up 0.63. Laggards. Chevron and Exxon are down. Exxon's down 0.58. Chevron down 0.76. Micron is still down pre-market. Okay, they have earnings coming up as well. Interesting that they're getting a little money outflows today. The ETF DRAM is actually down pre-market, so it continues to get money outflows. Okay, sectors. Communications is your leader this morning. That's your Google, your Meta, your Netflix. Okay. Discretionary up 0.5%. That's your Tesla, Amazon, Home Depot. Financials up 0.38. Technology up 0.31. Okay. Your laggards energy down 0.6. Interestingly enough, semis are flat. Remember, Micron is down. Okay. DRAM is down. So semis being flat is kind of interesting. Now, I know this could be a trap and we could roll over. This could be a sell the news. Okay. If it actually happens, I don't know. Okay, full transparent. I got out of I was telling everybody I was in a put spread. Yesterday after that news, I'm still in the money the whole spread, but I was like, you know what? Let me take it off. I took it off for like 575. So pretty much 100% return on that spread. I was looking to, it was going up to $8 and I tried to take it off at $8. It just didn't fill me. I probably should have went for the 750 or something like that and I probably would have got filled because I was trying to get filled. But yesterday's news, you don't know when that's going to happen, right? So anyway, going on to the economic calendar here. Michigan consumer sentiment. That's what we have today. Michigan consumer sentiment. All right. Now, Trump, at 11 a.m., the president participates in a pre-taped podcast with the second lady. Okay. Let's see the juice here. I don't think we have anything. Let's see. Trump pre-taped interview. Nope. Now it says here, U.S.-Iran MOU could be signed as soon as Sunday in Geneva. Now, we talked about the SpaceX IPO debut. All right. We talked about the Michigan consumer sentiment. After the record IPO, Musk SpaceX faces next test and market debut. Let's see here. Crypto exchanges cash in on SpaceX frenzy with pre-IPO derivatives. NVIDIA begins Vera CPU sales pitched to Chinese clients. U.S. bank regulators ramp up scrutiny of AI use at financial companies. Okay, Wall Street futures rose, buoyed by expectations for an imminent end to the Middle East conflict after comments from U.S. President Donald Trump suggested a deal could be reached as early as this week. And while investors geared up for Elon Musk's SpaceX debut, the company, expected to be Wall Street's biggest public listing at a valuation about 1.7 trillion, is set to start trading on the Nasdaq later in the day. All right, now I don't just Adobe reported earnings; they were good, but Adobe's down. I don't think people trust that company right now. See, Adobe Piper Sandler cuts target price to 240 from 280. PepsiCo Piper Sandler cuts target price to 178 from 181 on slower snacks growth. Let's see here. That's about it. That's all we got to talk about there. Now, let's go to some my little spread here. Notice the spread is going back down. That means the market can go up. Remember, we're at historic lows here. And remember, when this spread pushes up, the market goes down. Look, this market's coming down, so the market goes up. Now, if we're looking at a trend, I might get into another short if we get a nice rally here. Okay, I don't fully trust this yet. All right, I really contemplated yesterday keeping my spread on because we're at a very crucial level right here in the markets. Okay, a very crucial level. Okay, you can look at the this is the stocks above the 20-day moving average. We're at 63%. Now, once you get into the 80s, that gets frothy. That gets frothy. Okay. Now, let's look at some bullish percent indexes from yesterday, right? Remember, I was talking about the NDX. Let's look at the SPX. So 53, still middling. Still middling. We just looked at the NDX, but let's look at that again. We're at 41% on buy signals. Remember I was saying yesterday was getting a little oversold. Okay, and let's just look at technology. Got a little bump up yesterday. Remember I was saying it was starting to get hit heavy. And then materials is what I said was looking oversold. So there's the bump up, right? That's why I'm looking at possibly playing NEM. Okay. And something else was getting overheated. I think healthcare. Yeah, look at that. So healthcare, you could possibly look at a short. Okay. We'll see. We'll just have to see. Okay. Now, let's go to the market internals because they actually were reliable yesterday because it wasn't as crazy. Let's do a little market internals recap here. Now, the market was just going to be imbalanced. It wasn't that strong. It wasn't weak. Okay. Look at tech up 3% from the open. Okay. Big numbers once this happened, right? Once that news happened, right there, when I was long, right there, boom. It just ripped. It just ripped. Okay. So internally, why I like this long is because we were in balance and we were never weak and money was flowing in to tech. So I just was like, you know what? I know my short would have worked, but I got hit out break even and then boom. Man, I wish I could have held that. But like I said, you're always going to want to do better after every trade. You can always go, well, man, I could have held. It's okay. All right. Let's move on. Let's go to dailies. Dailies. All right. So again, we close right at last week's close. That hot pink line. We close back inside last week's range. Those are the orange levels there. Okay. Those are the orange levels. Didn't hit the 90 EMA daily yesterday. Okay. But where are we now? 741. We are over that 90 EMA daily, or actually like right around it. Okay. But look at the area you're in. very crowded. Okay, very crowded. Then look to the left of that, very crowded. Okay, look at the ES. Okay, so again, market's super efficient. Okay, super efficient. Even on a daily chart, you can see it. Okay, and what I'm going to show you. See, can you see drawing here? Yeah. Okay. Look at that structure. Look what we did. Cleaned it all out, right? All the way down to here, to the left, right? We cleaned all that out. Now, you have a daily supply right there. Okay. Daily supply. You have a little daily bearish for value gap right here. And you're crowded in here where we are. Okay. Now we swept that prior day's lows. Now you're up at prior day's highs. Now, I would say the expected move could be possibly up to the 74 to 20-day simple moving average. We'll have to see. Okay. Now, let's look at Qs. I would have thought semis would be ripping this morning. They are not. They're actually down. Now that I'm looking at it, they actually are down now. Now, this could also be anybody who wants to offload these type of stocks can have liquidity to do it. Okay. So let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ did QQQ hit the 90 MA daily. Went back over last week's close. Okay, you're at the 20-day moving average. So we'll have to see what happens. Okay, very crowded here. Same thing. Where are we now? 718.63. 718.63. You're right here. Okay, right at yesterday's highs. This is a very ugly supply, daily supply. Very ugly. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. It's very crowded here. Okay, I think we might be in store for some type of range bound day until this thing gets signed. Okay, market got the juice from that news yesterday. All right, let's look at NASDAQ futures here. Okay, let's look at NASDAQ futures. Very crowded, like I said. Okay, it just tapped the 20-day moving average. Now that 20-day moving average is starting to flatten out. It's starting to flatten. Okay, 90 MA daily is starting to flatten. Okay, with that's going to basically tell us, right, that we're starting to balance. We're in a balance area, right? So just be cognizant of that. You have daily supply up here as well. Okay. Let's move on. Hourlies. Okay. Hourlies. Okay. So yesterday, this was crucial. You took out in the overnight, you took out the prior day's lows. You swept it. Remember I was talking about that, right? And then what did you make? A higher low into demand. Then you had news. Boom. Back into last week's range, right? Then you consolidate it and pushed up. Now remember I said it's very crowded here. There we go. There's the price action that's crowded. Okay. There's a decent amount of supply here. Now this is your month-to-date anchor VWAP. This blue one is your anchor VWAP from the all-time highs. This represents the average seller from the all-time highs. Okay, you are below that right now. Okay, this represents the average seller for the month. They are still in control. We are red. So in the ES, okay, probably I'd be looking for probably pullbacks to get long into this demand. Okay. Now you do have some poor structure on this move up. I don't think the market's going to want to sell off based on this news and we could sign a peace deal. Okay. You very easily could just trade in a range from the 74.50s down to the 73.80s like this. Maybe even do this to go try to go higher. Okay. That's what I'm looking at today in the ES. I really don't see right here a long would rip. It's very highly unlikely. Okay. Let's look at the NASDAQ here. Now you can see this NASDAQ has a big wedge. Okay, from these highs, connect these highs, we're right there at that downtrend line. That's the main downtrend line. Okay, this is the uptrend line from here. Do we just compress? I don't know. Now, let me take this farther out here. So there's the anchored VWAP, a little different, right? Here's the anchored VWAP. Hold on a second. Here's the anchored VWAP from all-time highs. Okay. Now sellers are underwater in the NASDAQ, but look, we're getting some selling. So what's interesting is Micron's selling, semis are weak. Not really, really like a ton weakness, just a little. Coming into this real resistance here, which is also the downtrend line, right? So we just hit the anchored VWAP for the month. Okay, so the sellers are still in control at this point for the month. Now, this is not the best structure here. Okay, not the best. So, like I said, I would be looking by this swing low for longs, most likely. All right, a little above the 292s. Okay. Big trading area. This could be balanced today, most likely. But, if we come down here and we get some news and you break these highs and the trend line, yeah, you could move up and you have poor structure above us to move up. Okay, that's what I'm looking at in the NASDAQ. Let's go to that market profile, volume profile now and get some scenarios out there. Okay. Let's look at this together here. It's a very small gap up. Okay. Very small. Now you also at the most traded price of the week. That's your 74.15s. Okay. That's why I said, look at the volume profile. You're like right in the middle value here. It's not the best area. It really isn't. Okay. So, got a very balanced profile as well. So, not a lot of action right here that I would say like, ooh, I love it. Okay. But let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the ES. Okay. So, right off the bat, obviously, you got your gap fill at 74.20s. But we're right there. So, now, like I said, it's very balanced in the overnight. So let's break it out to see the price action. Okay. Came up into supply. Okay. So I think this is the range, folks. Unless something comes out. 74.51, 73.74 is probability. Gives me nothing's exact. All right. So right off the bat, what I want to do is probably look at a long first. Okay. Now, very easily, 74.15 becomes a big pivot level, right? You got yesterday's highs overnight, like this swing high, and you got, um, most traded price of the week right here. Okay, yesterday's close. So very easily, and there's a bullish for value gap right in here. So any pullback here that holds the 74.15 could be a beautiful long. Retest the 74.15s. You target 74.51s. And now there's supply up here, but as I recall, I did think there was a ton of volume, but right, as I'm not recollecting, you could move up to the 74.91s. Okay, we'll see. I think this is a little shallow of a pullback. I think it's viable. I think what's better is quickly, you need to do this quickly. Take out that demand zone and the overnight lows. Maybe even have to tap last week's lows, okay, around the 73.64s. And then you sweep it. You come back into the overnight range, put in a higher low. There you go long. Target 74.15, then overnight highs, 74.51s, and see if you can go higher than that. Okay, now 50% retracement of yesterday is 73.41s. You happen to have a bullish for value gap here. I don't know if now it could work. I'd have to see how the internals play out. I'm not going to give any more scenarios than this. Okay, I don't like longs just going right up into supply here. So this is all I have for the longs right now. Remember, I always have intraday plans as well. So shorts. Okay, if I want to really harp on a short, you are in supply here. So a couple things here. You could push up, sweep the overnight highs, hit the month-to-date anchored VWAP here, 74.57s. Sweep it, get a lower high, target 74.15s, the most traded price of the week. You take that out, you're probably going to hit the overnight low, 73.74. That could be the trade. Obviously, you keep going back. Now, longs are probably getting nervous, and you're going to reach that 50% retracement of yesterday, 73.41s. If you take that out, this would not be good. You could probably go attack yesterday's lows. I don't know if that's realistic, but that's one. Now, number two, what would I want to wait for? Take out this demand. So just take it out any way you can. Retest the 74.15s. If the market is not that strong, feel free to short that. Feel free to short that. Probably target what the low a day is at the time, which we don't know what that is. But try to go for that 73.41, 50% tracing of yesterday, and it's a bullish for value gap right there. Do you get all the way to yesterday's lows? I don't know. I don't know. All right. Now, I'm going to go NASDAQ now. NASDAQ is inside yesterday's range right now. You have a very prominent overnight VPOC here at around the 295s, 32s. Very prominent. A lot of volume there. A lot of volume there. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're most likely probably longs. Okay, you're in a major supply zone. Month-to-date anchor VWAP. Okay, so you can see there's a high volume node right here. I'm actually going to move this here just so I know it's there. Okay, that level is your 29230s. All right, notice how that lines up with the overnight lows. Okay, so let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ. Let's break out the session here. Okay, kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern on this. Okay, so I actually like the NASDAQ structure a lot better. I really do. Okay, for a long. Okay, so let's get into it. So remember, longs are getting paid all the way from here. Longs were getting paid from this pullback. Okay, then you got a bunch of crowded trade up here. So right off the bat, I like a long. Okay, now you have some single prints from yesterday. You have this 24-hour most traded price of the month at your 29230s. So logical place, overnight low with the 29230s. All I care about is if this holds. Okay, 50% retracement of yesterday's range is 29060. This is not near that. I'm just giving you the level. All I care about, it could be perfect where it just jumps right off and you go up and you target at 29668s. That's the overnight highs. Then you go for the 29847s. Okay. Now, it just needs to hold the 2930s. It could go below it very briefly, but that's a pretty decent long. Now, in the NASDAQ, okay, this would have to be very quick. If the market rips very fast down to the week to day anchor VWAP, which is around 29082. There's a bullish for value gap with a demand zone, okay, in the 290 area and a 50% retracement of yesterday. If you get bullish right out of that demand and bullish for value gap and a higher low, and the market's not that weak, yep, that's a nice long. Okay, target 29668. Okay. Now, of course, if you break these overnight highs and find acceptance in here, sure, you can do that. It's not going to be an easy ride, so I'm not going to put that on the thing right there. All right, so shorts. Well, we are in supply. Heavy one, too. Heavy. Okay. So, a couple things here. If the market just goes like this and rips to the overnight highs, sweeps them, comes back into the overnight range, puts in a lower high, you short that, targeting overnight lows in the most traded price of the month in the 24-hour chart, the 29230s. If that gets lost, you're probably going to at least go down to the 289s. Okay. And then there's heavy demand in here. That could be it. Okay. There's a lot of demand here, so that would probably be a good one. Okay. Now, the other one I would give you would be you push down below, remember that 29230, the most traded price in the 24-hour chart for the monthly. All right, most traded price of the month for the 24-hour chart. Retest the 29230s, then that's your short. Target those two, the 28852s, most traded price of the week. Okay, I think that's the trades today, folks. All right, so let's get into my overall outlook. Okay. All right, what I say today, the level today, 74.15s in the ES. Also the overnight lows, 73.74s. 73.74s, if they hold, you're going to be long. 74.15, if it holds, you probably want to be long. Okay, in the ES. Remember, I think we have a range bound day today. NASDAQ, you want to hold 29230s. Happens to be the overnight lows as well. That's the level. Okay, I don't know how the market, remember SpaceX is going to be the IPO today. Okay, I think today we know the news. All right, the market's got the love. Remember, semis is actually down right now, so it's a little weird. Okay, but anyway, that's it, folks. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. I hope you did. Okay, now as always, subscribe. Do this every morning. Set an alert, market story, economic calendar, market news, technical analysis. I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Now we have our plan. Hope you have your plan. Okay? Hope everybody has a great day. Remember, no trade's a trade. If I don't see you in my Discord, I will see you guys tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Monday morning.